This story is brought to you by the month of Lurve.
The month of Lurve.
Chapter 5. Will she? Won't she? Rainbow Dash opened her eyes to see that this morning Applejack was still lying next to her. She guessed that Applejack probably didn't have as much stuff to do on the farm and was able to sleep in later this morning, which suited Rainbow Dash just fine. She lay there in Applejack's hooves, thinking about what happened, and what was going to happen to her now. Were they together now? Did Rainbow even want that? She wasn't sure. She didn't even think she was into mares. Until last night, no mare had ever made her feel the way Applejack had. She had no idea what that meant. She began to get scared, but had no idea why. So she yawned and put the thought she was having out of her mind once again. She felt thirsty and started to pull away from her sleeping friend while trying not to wake her up. It didn't work. She felt Applejack stir against her and pull Rainbow Dash closer.
"Come on, AJ, I'm thirsty. Let me get something to drink."
Applejack just grumbled and pulled Rainbow's face closer to hers and kissed her. This was still completely new and an unexpected thing to Rainbow Dash, so her body went rigid for a second in surprise, but after another second, she loosened up and pulled her face away from Applejack's.
"Okay, that seriously isn't helping me be any less thirsty."
Applejack giggled and let go of her friend to get a drink. Rainbow started to get up and was sitting on the edge of the bed when she turned back to Applejack.
"You know, if you had told me 2 days ago I would be living in your house, making out with you, and sleeping in the same bed, I would have told you you were hanging around with Pinkie Pie too much."
Applejack giggled and Rainbow rolled her eyes and thought to herself,
"So she gets all giggly when she's sleepy. I guess that's better than getting cranky."
"Come on, it don't matter now. That's the way it is, and I know you're happier." Applejack looked at Rainbow, beaming happily. Rainbow looked back at her, uncertain of what to say. Applejack's beam changed to a worried expression. "You are happy about this, ain't you?" Rainbow leaned back over and gave Applejack a kiss.
"Trust me, if I didn't like it, I wouldn't be in this bed right now. It's just complicated. I don't know what to think right now. All of this is just completely unexpected, and I don't know what it means."
Applejack's smile returned as she replied, "Well, that's simple. You're into mares and you just didn't know it before." Rainbow decided to tease a little.
"Well, what if I'm still into colts a little more?"
She saw Applejack's face harden. "You better not be. I'll kick that colt's hindquarters." Rainbow could easily tell that Applejack did want this thing to be a relationship, not just a one-night happening. That made her realize that Applejack probably had liked her before last night, and she wasn't sure what to think about that.
"I was just messing with you, but how long have you liked me, Applejack?"
She could see surprise on Applejack's face as she thought about the question. Yeah, about that. It's probably been something like 6 months or so." Rainbow raised an eyebrow at Applejack as she smiled back at her with a small, sheepish smile.
"Why didn't you ever tell me, AJ?"
"I tried, Rainbow, but you're always doing your own thing and it's so hard to get you alone." She sighed and continued explaining herself. "You're a very intimidating mare sometimes, Rainbow. It's not very easy to talk to you about something like that. I just kinda gave up and hoped you would start something. I knew that if you felt something, you'd be brave enough to tell me about it. And, well, it ended up that way, so you can't blame me." Rainbow shook her head.
"You still should have told me, AJ."
"Fine, I can tell you now if you'd like." Applejack looked square in Rainbow's eyes. "I've liked you for about half a year now. You're beautiful. You're the only pony who can make me laugh by being yourself. You don't back down from no pony. If I ever needed anything, I can count on you to be there, even if no pony else is. You're the only friend I have that can keep up with me, compete with me, but still keep things friendly. You're the strongest pony I know. I couldn't name a single pony who is stronger than you are. You go after what you want, no matter who or what gets in your way, and you always get it. Do you want me to keep going?" Rainbow was stunned by how much thought Applejack had obviously put into, well, her. It greatly flattered her, considering she valued Applejack's opinion, as her best friend, more than any other pony. She lay there with her mouth slightly open, just staring at Applejack, not exactly sure what to say. Applejack closed her eyes and leaned back into Rainbow's hooves. "This isn't just a crush, Rainbow. I know it isn't. I think I'm in love with you." The only time Rainbow felt as amazing as she did at that moment was when she saved the Wonderbolts at the Best Young Flyers competition, and they had complimented her. But honestly, it didn't even compare to her feelings now. Her heart completely soared, and tears had come to her eyes as she wrapped her hooves back around Applejack and held her close. She was still thirsty, but she really didn't want to get up right now. She could deal with it and go back to sleep with Applejack, so she could sleep in a little more. Applejack had solidified the feelings that Rainbow was having, and she was absolutely certain that she liked this mare laying next to her. The only thing she needed to figure out is if she wanted to be in a relationship with her. Applejack wanted it, she knew, and she probably was thinking they were in one right now. But that wasn't Rainbow's style. She flew solo. She'd never thought of being in a relationship with any pony, let alone her best friend. She seriously needed to figure this out. She was putting the question in the back of her mind too much. She sighed and muttered out loud,
"This would be a much easier decision if you weren't so amazing, AJ.
Rainbow could feel the soft breaths on her fur, signaling that Applejack had fallen asleep again, so she hadn't heard her. She rested her head on top of the sleeping mare, closing her eyes.
I'll think about it when I wake up. This is just too perfect right now to ruin it. Thank you, Derpy, for ruining my house. I never would have been here right now if it wasn't for you, you clumsy mare."
The thought put a smile on her face, and she dozed off again, a little bit excited and a little bit anxious for the morning. To be continued.